Hi there, good afternoon and welcome to our session on reading comprehension. So you remember there is a series that we started, and in this series we went ahead and talked about a lot of different genres as well. So we've talked about philosophy and psychology and ecology and anthropology and God knows what all, right? So this is a continuation of that series where the focus today is going to be passages that are based on science and technology. So you are on BYJU'S exam prep channel. It is your home for all things related to CAT exam prep. I am Vikrant. I am your personal coach for everything related to English and communication skills. And if you have any doubt, question, issue, concern, make sure that you drop it in the chat below and I would love to help you straight away. So very good afternoon, Hirva, Victor, Nidhi and KKF. My sound is coming out as if I am streaming from a cave. Is that so? Let me just check. Yeah, everything appears to be all right. I don't have a very aggressive noise cancellation happening either. Maybe. Okay, has it helped a bit now? I don't know, maybe. So this can perhaps help a wee bit. Let's see. Muhammad Arbaz says it is low. Guys, the rest of you, can you also share your input? Can you quickly, let's just do a quick sound check and tell me if I am audible, if the audio is absolutely all right. Cave wave ka to kuch nahi yaar. I do call it my man cave, yes, but it's more of that. So if the majority is not facing any issue, then I think in that case we can definitely go ahead and proceed further. But before I go ahead and talk about RCs, this is something that I want to remind you. Our third and last All India Open Mock is going to conclude tomorrow. So the window will close tomorrow. If you have not managed to write it yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and write it at the earliest, because it's the test that eventually gives you a personalized preparation. In fact, let us link it with what I have on the next slide. See, nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health, but has left it to us to put those pieces together. Similarly, when it comes to aptitude exam, nature has given us all the components required to excel in these tests. We need to sit down and polish those pieces, polish those abilities to move towards the right percentile. But how do you know which ability are you supposed to polish? That's where mock tests come into picture, and when they are all India open mocks, even more important, because they give you a very, very accurate benchmarking. Okay, so science and technology you said. So what do we really mean by science and what do we mean by technology? So you know, it is one of the top 5 contributors to the CAT exam over the course of last 6 years. In fact, even beyond that. Okay, earlier philosophy and psychology did punch a little above their weight, but if you were to define science and technology, how would you go about doing it? Drop your answer in the chat box down below right now. Now, I know that some of you may find it weird because you'll be like, science, we know what science is, technology, we know what technology is, and I know. But it's always a good idea to think over even those words once in a while that we believe we know rather well. Isn't it? No harm, no? So how do you go on to define it? I've also managed to check the sound at my end and it is absolutely all right. Oh, KGF says I had only 2 streams open. That's where the problem was coming from, and I ended up checking my entire settings again. So what is science? What is technology? Hirva, I'm yet to look that up here. I know I've jotted it down, but I could not find enough time for that. So I will go ahead and look at it hopefully sometime today. I still need to ensure that a couple of mocks that are coming up, they are we sorted with that, and then I'll look at that. The Believer, I like that name. So nobody is going to tell me what science is. So अच्छा मतलब छोड़ दो. चलो spectator spot बना लिया तुमने मेरी classes को. आएंगे और आकर के सेशन देख करके चले जाएंगे, है ना, जैसे मूवी देख के जाते. Okay, but that's it. Here is the definition of science. It's a systematic study of what? Of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world. And how do we study the physical and natural world? We study it empirically, that is through observation and experiments. So that's science for you. So basically, when you study a physical and natural world through the lens of observation and experiment in a very well-defined way, in a very structured way, then you call it a science. And then technology is application of science. Here is a definition. So once you start applying science to your everyday life for your own betterment, it is then that we start calling it technology. So technology would of course include a lot of different areas, right? So blockchain, artificial intelligence, automation, cyber warfare, biotechnology, all these controversial things like genetically modified crops and cryptocurrencies, all of these, social media technologies, spyware, these things would obviously fall under technology. And of course it goes beyond that, and there are many more other things that we go ahead and use that you can think of. So the passages today are going to focus on these two areas. So let us start with our first passage. Here it is on your screen. As usual, take a couple of deep breaths, align yourself with the purpose right now, and then we begin. So let's start our passage paragraph by paragraph. So here is the first one. Taking you over to the next paragraph now. Okay, moving over to the next paragraph. So I'm assuming that you're done with this paragraph, taking you to the next one now. Rishi, when it comes to what can be inferred from para 3, I think you should definitely attempt it. This in fact narrows down the area for you. But this other question, the purpose of a particular paragraph requires that you are able to generate a mental overview of the passage. That is something that I have often asked all of us to do anyway. Right? So I am assuming that if you have this ability to generate the mental overview, you would be able to place every paragraph contextually. So I don't think it is going to take time. It will take time only when you don't have that ability, or you've chosen not to develop that ability. So that takes care of our passage, and now let us dive into the first question. So in this case, this is a passage that focuses on technology, and instead of picking up something specific, I thought why not choose the entire internet and have a go at it. Okay, so here is your first question. What do you think our answer should be? Okay, so I really love it when the answers are rather quick. So first up, what is the question asking? None of the following statements can be inferred except, which means that we are looking for what can be inferred from the passage. So a lot of us have chosen C, and then I see a B. It is relatively easy to define what the internet is. This is false according to the passage. We are looking for something that is true, mind you. Let me take you back to the right area. This was in fact right there at the beginning. This paragraph. So you see that? So second is false. So B can be definitely ruled out. C, the internet is difficult to resist actively for most people. Here, combine what you have here in the last sentence in its given context along with the first paragraph, and you're done. You can say that C is true. The internet has enabled research into connected scholarly fields, where I don't see anything in the paragraph that talks about connected scholarly fields. It in fact talks about discrete fields, separate fields. So connected fields is not given in the passage, and therefore I think the label that we need to apply is cannot be determined, or simply put, can't say. So considering that we are looking for what can be inferred, C emerges as the best answer. Oh, Virendra's also picked up A. The internet is only superficially intertwined with our culture and politics. Are we sure? Superficially intertwined. So this is one part that talks about our dependence. Then where did that part go? I very clearly remember reading it. This entanglement in our culture, politics, and even inner thoughts. So we would not call it something that is entangled even with your inner thoughts. How can that be superficially intertwined? And therefore A is also ruled out. So C it is. Here is the next question. So makes all of the following arguments except. So has the author mentioned A? A says internet cannot penetrate our inner thoughts. Whereas remember the part that we just referred to while discussing the previous question? Let me take you back there. This part, even inner thoughts, this very clearly contradicts A. And because A is contradictory, is definitely not an argument that is made. Okay, so I think this should be the answer, but let's check. B can be deduced from the first paragraph. C, the internet culture is dissimilar to the Californian culture. Absolutely, in Californian culture, you could point to these three things which were tangible. Remember billboards, radio, all that. But when it comes to internet, it has just a few tangible things, yes, but then it goes beyond. You do not have tangible things to point towards. So this is definitely stated in the second last paragraph. This paragraph right here. Not this, not second last, third last paragraph here. So is C an argument given in the argument? Yes, it is. D, the tangible aspects of the internet fail to capture the extent of its entanglement in our culture. Yes, absolutely the same paragraph. So B, C and D are mentioned. A, the opposite of A is mentioned. So obviously the answer has to be option A for question number 2. And here is your next question. Question number 3. Read it carefully and share your answer with me, please. Oh, close, huh? So answers, guys, answers. Okay, so let me highlight something that is mentioned in C. Were these technologies created for the internet is a private sector project deliberately conceived to create a set of new technologies. Were we creating a set of new technologies through internet? Look at the sentence. The sentence uses to enclose a set of technologies. So can I say, I mean, just to look at it mathematically, can I say that to enclose is equal to create? No. So therefore C can be ruled out. But if I look at B, so the internet is a deliberate political project in the private hands, so we're calling it a private project created to put a set of technologies in private hands. Absolutely, this essentially restates every idea that is given to you in the sentence which is mentioned in the quotes. So our answer here should be option B. None of these, of course, increases the difficulty level of the questions where you need to be absolutely sure of the answer that you choose. So not D. Considering that B is a summary of the sentence and a correct summary at that, we should choose B and not D. And with that, let us move over to our next question. There you go. अरबाज यार थोड़ा और स्पेसिफिक कर दे दोस्त कि मतलब किस चीज़ को अप्रोच करने की बात कर रहे हैं, फिर तो मैं बता सकता हूँ, नहीं तो बहुत जनरल बहुत जेनेरिक सा हो जाएगा यार ये. है ना. और आज अब तो हम कैट से कितना, वी आर 51 डेज अवे, तो बहुत जेनेरिक आंसर ना अगर मैं अभी दूंगा भी ना तो यूज़फुल नहीं होगा. Ask me specific questions, I would love to, of course, address those. Acha, Are Virender, I did not see anyone mention A, so I did not pick up and look at it. I just picked up the ones that were shared with me. I'll just look at it. So C is absolutely correct for question number 4, and since Virender had a concern about option A does not address the privatization part at all. We were supposed to capture the idea of the sentence. A is not even talking about private project, private control bit at all. So I think that was easy to eliminate. So fourth otherwise is C, and with that let's get into our next passage. And this time around, the previous one was on technology. This time around let us get into science. Ready? Here you go. So 2 paragraphs, we've managed to fit them onto a single slide. Once you've read both of these, let me know in the chat and I'll take you over to the next. Believer, are we sure of we? We have done this before. अब तो यार, अब तो नया पैसेज नहीं ला पाऊंगा, तो इसी के साथ काम करना पड़ेगा दोस्त. And I'm sure there are quite a few people here who have not attempted it earlier. I've not picked this up earlier in my YouTube sessions. तो पता नहीं, हो जाता है यार, कई बार मल्टीपल लोग सेशंस ले रहे होते हैं ना, तो कभी कभी हो जाता है यार ऐसा, क्या करें. Okay, so taking you over to the next. अच्छा हाँ, वो तो अरे वी टेक दीज थिंग्स फ्रॉम Eon and New York Times, Economist, though the sources that we generally ask you to go and read. Although I think this is not Eon, I think this is New York Times. This should be a New York Times article, I reckon, but I'm not very sure at this moment. Hirva, never happened so far. There's only one exam where I've seen that happen, that is SNAP. I don't recall any other exam repeating their own passages, although it has happened a couple of times where one particular exam took up a passage used earlier in some other exams. That has happened. SNAP has once repeated its own passage, but normally no. Okay, here is next. Okay, so are we ready for the questions now? So here is the first question based on the passage. None of the following, some of us ended up making this mistake in the previous passage. Let's ensure that we don't make it now. None of the following statements can be inferred from the passage except that. Okay, so Nidhi says it is B. So if we start labeling, I think A is can't say, because we know that there are multiple theories that have said this, including loop quantum gravity theory, but was it the first one? Cannot be determined. B, the theories that reject time as a basic feature of a universe substituted with causation as a basic feature. Let me take you back to the paragraph once. Last paragraph. If you've read it, just read the first 3-4 lines and you'd notice that B is also can't say. C, science does not accept that time may have no direct impact on our life. So imagine there is a person called science. You go to that person and say, hey, time may have no direct impact on our life. So that person looks back at you in awe, shock, or like, no, I don't buy it, no. I believe time has direct impact on our lives. So this, going by this particular passage, is actually false, because there are quite a few theories according to which time does not exist. So they accept it. D, physics has established theories which give clarity. This is once again false. They have failed to establish such theories so far. So we are looking for which of the following can be inferred. So ideal scenario, an ideal scenario is where one answer choice is true and the others are false or can't say, so we choose that. But then none of these options can be termed true. When you look at B, it is not the theories that substitute, it is the author who proposes that we can substitute time with causation, as the theories do not contraindicate causation. So that's why B is can't say, but C and D are false, so they are ruled out. So when you have to pick one best answer choice, or in this case there are two that I can't say and we have to pick up a better answer choice, what do? We look at the probability. For which one of these two, the probability of being true is higher. So for A, we have absolutely no basis whatsoever, but for B, we at least have the last paragraph to go by, and therefore, because the probability of B is higher, we should go ahead and choose B as our answer. And with that, and since most of you have anyway said B, I think I'm fine with it. Let's look at question 6. Rishi Murari, how would you solve this question? What's your take on this question? So remember a while ago you said that there are questions that ask us for the purpose of a paragraph. Here I'm asking for the purpose of an example. So that made me think of you. So quick, go back to the relevant paragraph and answer the question, and then we'll talk. Okay. So what is the purpose of an example? The purpose of an example is to either explain or prove a point. If you don't use the word point, then you'd say or an idea. Right? So if I take you back to the relevant paragraph, which is here, so what is the point that it was supporting here? So, I mean, physics may say something does not exist, yet we will accept it exists. For example, tables, right? Because they exist at a higher level. So, and here is the, here is the context for that paragraph, because immediately afterwards you also have the third paragraph here. So if we look at this and now go to the answer choices, let's see, A. Why did we give it? We can imagine how a table might be made out of more fundamental particles, but we cannot imagine the concept of emergent time. Maybe. Let's look at B. Just like tables, we can explain how time is made out of fundamental particles. So why was this example given? This example was given to tell us that, hey, even when physics says something does not exist, we can believe it because it exists at a higher level. So it was given that, okay, when it comes to time, we can look at it from a similar perspective. So this is better. Let's look at C. I'm glad none of you have picked it up. D. Time and tables are different yet alike. The problem will be with the second half, because so far we do not know that there are more such fundamental particles that emerge for time. But then this will take us to the next paragraph. D will take us to the next paragraph. So even D can be ruled out. The purpose of this example was just to explain how something that physics says does not, according to physics, does not exist. How can that exist? So that idea is best captured by option B, and therefore that should be picked up as our answer. Okay, 7th. Main idea question. Rishi, is this a question that we should leave? Yes, so best answer choice is C. I would ideally prefer quantum physics, no proof for time, then problem with lack of time, but then causation. So these were my keywords when I was essentially going through this passage, but C comes closest to it and therefore is the answer. Here is the next one. Except, all of the following arguments are made except. So one of these four has not been stated or discussed in the passage. That is the one that you'd mark as your answer. I think A is easy to rule out, isn't it? Given in the first paragraph. So this is something that has been discussed. C is also true. It is discussed, mentioned in the passage, so ruled out. So B versus D. B says, what new theories of physics call causation is nothing but another name for time. Is it another name? The author says that, okay, if time does not exist, then you can approach and understand the world with the help of causation. But are we saying that time is equal to causation according to the passage? We are saying causation can replace time to perform the kind of functions that time performed in our world. But are they just two different names of the same thing? So that's B. You need to, that's something that you need to think of. And then D, physics in the new era may explain how time may not actually, absolutely yes. They may exist, they may go ahead and talk about it. This is mentioned in the passage, right? And therefore our answer for question number 8 should be B and not D. B is not mentioned. They're not two different names of the same entity. They are two completely different things. They can substitute each other. That's a different story. Okay, so that's what I brought for you for science and technology. And once again, a reminder that you're supposed to write the All India Open Mock if you have not managed to do that so far. And we have much more for you. For example, we've started this NMAT crash course. So make sure that you attend all the sessions for it. You'd find that useful for all the other exams and not just the NMAT. For even more practice, you can consider enrolling in our test series, which gives you more than 80 mocks along with more than 10,000 questions for you to practice. And in case you want to work even more closely with us, you can consider enrolling in our batches. These batches have produced great results, and don't take my word for it. We know that we teach really well, but don't take my word for it. You can go ahead and go through a 3-day trial. And after that, when you like it, you can always sit for a scholarship test and then take a call on enrolling. So that's what I brought for you today. Don't forget to like the video before you leave. And I look forward to meeting you guys once again real soon with some more practice, with some more concepts right here on your own channel. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, keep working hard. Just 51 days to go. Have a nice weekend ahead, and I'll see you soon.